Welcome to the Pre-Post Film Review. I'm Matthew Stevenson.
And I'm John Asquith. Today we're going to be talking about the film Guardians of the Galaxy, the new Marvel movie. So what you're going to hear, the idea behind the podcast is we've recorded our thoughts on the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer a few months ago. And we sort of talk about our thoughts and impressions and what we're expecting. And then we watch the film when it's released, and we come back and record our review of the film and sort of compare with what we thought of the trailer. So without any further ado, we're going to move on into our trailer impressions of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Let's do it.
Drop it now!
Yeah, hey, cool, man. No problem. No problem at all.
Who are you?
Star-Lord.
Who?
Well, Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw. Forget it.
We arrested these five on Xandar. Check out the rap sheets.
Drax, a.k.a. the Destroyer. Since his wife and family were killed, he's been on a rampage across the galaxy in his search for vengeance. Gamora, soldier, assassin, wanted on over a dozen counts of murder. Rocket, wanted on over 50 charges of vehicular theft and escape from lockup.
What the hell?
Groot has been traveling recently as Rocket's personal houseplant / muscle.
Peter Jason Quill. He's also known as Star-Lord.
Who calls him that?
Himself, mostly. He's wanted largely on charges of minor assault, public intoxication, and fraud.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
Okay, so here we are to chat about the trailers for Guardians of the Galaxy. We've just watched the latest one, which I think is probably trailer 4. There's been a bunch that have come out so far.
Quite a few now, yeah.
So we've just sat down and watched that one, but we've seen all the others as well. John, what do you think of Guardians of the Galaxy based on the trailers that we've just watched?
I'm pretty excited for this. I'm not hugely familiar at all, actually, with the source.
No, actually,
comic.
I had no idea that it even existed before this film.
Yeah, me neither. So I have no ties in that sense to the source material or what I'm expecting. Based on that. But just looking at purely as a film, from the trailers, I think it looks pretty fun, and I'm hoping it seems to suggest that it's a different Marvel film, which is really exciting to me because I'm totally burnt out on superhero films.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I guess this isn't really even a superhero
I was going to
film.
say, it doesn't feel like a superhero film.
No.
It feels like a sci-fi adventure film,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, which, aren't that common, really. I mean,
No.
we had a couple of Star Trek movies sort of recently, but before that, I mean, what?
Yeah.
The Star Wars prequels?
Guess so. There hasn't really been that much.
Yeah, so it's always fun to revisit this kind of genre when it's done well, and it looks like it's going to be. Those are my sort of overall first impressions. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it depends on which of these trailers is an accurate representation of the tone of the film.
Yeah.
Because at least one of them is obviously wildly wrong. The first 3 make it seem very fun and comedic and tongue-in-cheek, which is great. That if it's like that, that's what I'm excited about, because exactly what you said, I'm sick of the Marvel universe at this point, and something that feels totally different would be great.
Yep.
But if it is like the trailer that we just watched, which I think is the international trailer that's playing here, that has a much more familiar tone. It feels like they're going for the big, epic, somber kind of
the music's
superhero
all
piece.
serious and big percussive stuff, and they've cut all the jokes from the trailer pretty much.
Yeah, it's all about the end of the world and how this team of heroes has to save everyone.
Yeah, it's amazing how different it is from the other trailers. It just looks boring.
Yeah, it makes me a bit worried, actually.
Run of the mill. Well, I think that the hope is the other trailers have quite a few jokes in them.
Yeah.
That are obviously in the film. So
Yeah.
unless they've got every joke from the movie
Well,
just put it
yeah.
in the trailers, it seems like it's going to have quite a lighthearted, fun tone to it.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, yeah, likewise, I'll be really disappointed if that last trailer is actually what it's like, you know.
I think based on the track record of James Gunn, too, the director, though I'm not sure how many films he's made. I'm only really familiar with Slither. But based on that alone, I have faith that it'll be a sort of tongue-in-cheek fun film.
Yeah, I think so. He's an interesting choice
Yep.
for Marvel to choose, and isn't someone that sort of plays within the Hollywood boundaries. So it's exciting that he could bring something refreshing to the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I think that's another thing, along with the humour that stands out on these trailers, is that it seems to have a pretty distinct visual style.
It does,
like it's quite
absolutely.
striking, some of the visuals that they're showing off.
Yeah.
Some even the slow-mo fight scenes, like there's that big bald dude with scars all over him or whatever it is, and he's fighting, and there seems to be these sort of green liquid floating in the air throughout the fight, and it looks really cool. I don't know, it feels different.
Yeah, it feels like there's someone behind every shot rather than just like a cookie cutter sort of thing, which a lot of the other Marvel movies feel like to me.
How do you feel about Chris Pratt being cast as the lead?
I'm really excited about that because Chris Pratt is just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I love him so much. He's a great actor. He's a really funny guy. He seems like just in real life like a nice dude that you'd want to hang out with. Like, I'm super excited to see what he brings to the film, and he's very capable, I think, of being a leading man. Not that I've seen him do that yet, really. I mean, aside from, I guess, the Lego movie.
Hearing him in the Lego movie.
Yeah.
I think that's also key to what makes this film seem more interesting than the other Marvel stuff is his ability to ground it in a reality, even though it is so wacky and crazy. There's something
That's a great point.
I don't know, like, approachable about him.
Yeah. Even when he's in this weird, sci-fi alien
talking
setting.
trees.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think that's something I'm looking forward to.
The music choices in the trailer are interesting, and
yeah, they are.
I know you were saying before off mic that you're wondering whether that sort of thing is in the film or not.
I mean, I hope it is. I hope that they have such similarly strong music choices within the film. I hope they're not just stuff they chucked in for the trailer, because they work so well in the trailer.
Yeah. And I guess the hint there is that he has a Walkman or something in the movie that you see one of the other characters.
Yeah, the security guards or something.
Yeah.
Confiscates
which
it.
suggests that there is
that's true.
that kind of music, and it's like a Walkman. It's not like some weird digital thing.
Yeah.
So that looks like another sort of exciting or refreshing thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that I'm gonna fucking hate the Raccoon thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
There's something about this like little CG creature that like makes wisecracks and is a hard ass. I don't know, for some reason, just personally, that kind of gets under my skin a bit in the trailers anyway. So I'll be interested to see how that's played out in the movie. That does
seem like that's his shtick.
I know. I hope there's more to him than that, because if it's always just like, this is how you get a woman or something all the time, like it's just, I don't know, just it's not funny. People find that funny because look, it's a cute thing, but it's saying rude stuff. It's like a Seth MacFarlane joke. It's just
right.
It sounds like I'm going
to predict that you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I hope so. Yeah,
his character, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess I don't know.
We will.
Yeah, that's a weird little pet peeve, I guess.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm hoping that this works well as a standalone movie and doesn't rely too heavily on an ending that suggests a sequel.
You think this will set up for like a future franchise?
Well, I'm sure that's going to happen.
I was going to say.
But I just don't want it to be too obvious in the movie.
Like a cliffhanger ending sort of thing?
Yeah, a cliffhanger or someone walking in at the last minute.
No, I would think that it was such an unknown to start with that they wouldn't bluntly set up like that. I'm sure it'll be left open.
Yeah.
But I think it'll wrap up nicely at the end. Because I think this is a bit of a gamble for Marvel. Because this is the first sort of non-Avengers superheroes that they've tackled. It's not an established name that everyone knows. It's a different tone, you know. I think there will be a sequel, but I don't think it'll set up for one directly.
Yeah.
Hey, that's mine. You son of a... Hey, take those headphones off right now!
All right, we're back now to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sure
'Cause
are.
We've seen the movie, and just another warning to all you spoiler warriors out there that obviously we're reviewing the movie and we're spoiling from the get-go,
everything
basically.
will be spoiled.
So don't listen if you haven't seen it yet. Having said that, Matt, what were your overall sort of thoughts coming out of the movie last night when we saw it?
My overall thoughts. I was really positive about this film. I thought it was great. I guess I kind of expected to like it. It was pretty much what I expected. And I'm glad that it was the funny trailer was an accurate representation of the film and not that somber, serious one that came out last, the fourth trailer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really loved that it had a sense of humour. It felt unique, different to the other Marvel films. It was pretty much exactly what I was hoping it would be. I still think it had a few problems. It didn't do everything perfectly. Yeah, there's some specific stuff towards the end that I'll probably talk about that I didn't like. But overall, really positive. Seems like we're having a good string of big Hollywood blockbuster films.
Yeah, we
as
are.
much as we complain about the studio system,
Yeah.
it seems like, this year's been pretty good overall.
Yeah, I think it has. It's been great to see a bunch of movies come out of the Hollywood system that aren't afraid to push things a little bit. You know, they're not breaking the mold in any great sense.
It's still pretty safe.
But
yeah.
you know, and as I guess they're always going to have to be. But it's just it's really nice to see. Movies take a few little chances here and there that you kind of don't expect. Yep. And I agree that Guardians of the Galaxy does that quite a bit. I think I was expecting that it would break the mold a little more than it did.
Yeah.
I think the humour does for the most part. I think it's like really funny and it pushes the humour into areas that other Marvel films haven't really gone.
Yep.
I feel like traditionally they're just like a quip here and there, or
just Robert Downey Jr. being Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, exactly. The visuals, like I guess from a directorial standpoint, in terms of just the shot choices and all that sort of thing, I wanted a bit more. I wanted more of a James Gunn influence on that, whatever that means. I don't particularly know what his style is, but I didn't feel like there was a consistent voice behind who was calling the framing of the shots or the composition of the shots. That's a very specific thing and something I weirdly notice sometimes. But
I still think it does though, like more so than the others. Like if you look at all the Captain America films and all that, that almost feels like there's a style guide for Marvel that this is how you shoot things, this is how the colours, this is how, I guess that's going back into design, but you know what I mean? Like the whole thing has to have this look and this sort of sheen to it.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I agree, had it still.
Yeah.
Especially there's certain like spaceship battles towards the end that just feel very sort of, it could be pulled out of any of the Marvel films.
Yeah.
But I think there's sort of like some funky slow-mo shots and some sort of, I don't know, visual gags that I thought stood out at least a bit. I thought it broke the mold a tiny bit.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not giving it enough credit, but I wanted more of that. Like the one that I really liked was when the Rocket, the Raccoon, was talking about his plan, and Groot goes off into the background and just fucks everything up, thinking that he's helping.
That's such a great
I
scene,
wanted more
actually.
of that, like a long shot, like a long take, in
Yeah.
a way, and with stuff going on. And I just, that felt kind of, fresh to me
Yeah.
for a Marvel movie. And
Yeah.
anyway, it sounds like I'm starting on a negative note. I really had a great time watching this movie, and I thought it was super fun and a great adventure.
Yeah.
That
I agree.
did in parts remind me of Star Wars and the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films, which I think are probably better, but that's a whole other thing we don't need to go into. But overall, I thought it's definitely worth seeing. And I'm glad I saw it at the cinema. It's got a lot of spectacle. It hits some nice dramatic moments. The humor's really great, as we were saying. Overall, I think it's really fun. I don't think it's perfect, and I don't think it's as good maybe as a lot of hype would suggest, but I think it's a fun movie to,
Yeah.
switch your mind off, I guess, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I agree. I do think you were saying that the Star Trek comparison perhaps isn't appropriate, but I think it is, and I thought about it from the very start of this film, because it opens with that hospital scene with the mother dying, which I actually really liked.
Yeah.
I love that it opened with that sort of human,
Yeah, me too.
small scale, like rooting it back in character, more than just spectacle like the Marvel films usually do.
Yeah.
And that reminded me of the opening of this first of Abrams Star Trek films, where it opens. I mean, it's a bit more of a big spectacle spaceship battle, but in the midst of that, it's the birth of Kirk, and there's this really emotional scene where his father has to sacrifice himself to save the mother and the child, and that did the same thing. It grounded this big sci-fi action film in tragedy or a human emotion. So right from the start, I was on board with Guardians. I don't think it's I agree. I don't think it's quite as good, but it's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. I agree that the whole first half of the movie even is like really engaging, and like when we get introduced to Chris Pratt as an adult, and he's doing his like treasure hunting or
dancing around,
that was just great.
It was.
And that was unexpected, and that was a moment where it was pushing against the Marvel mold, and the way I even wrote down in my notes, I love the way the title came up, which was he was just like dancing around in the caves, and just on one of like the snare hits of the song, like just the title just popped up, like it wasn't some big sweeping like Guardians or anything. It just like came up like a pop, and I was just like, okay, this is going to be different. This is going to be good.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point about the music, because that was one thing, based on the trailer, I was really looking forward to, and I think they nailed it.
Yeah, the music's really good. The songs they have in it are really good.
Yeah, the song choice is just, it's fantastic. It adds such a sense of fun, and I think also grounds it in this humanity, instead of just being this wacky soundtrack that kind of like is this piss take of the 80s. It's based in a character beat. It's the last thing he has of his mother.
Exactly.
And, there's some emotion and reasoning behind using that music instead of just a cheap gimmick.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, that was a really nice surprise for me to find out how deeply that was sort of in the storyline, the fact that those songs were in there.
Yeah. What did you think of the other... not minor, but the other sidekick characters, or all the other characters? I mean, Chris Pratt's obviously a huge highlight.
Yeah.
Like, he's the thing that grounds it. And
he is.
Comic timing is something
spot on. Yeah. We talked about this when we were analysing the trailer, so we don't need to go into it too much, because we're both fans of his, and he's awesome, and he carries this movie so well. And, grounds it, and he's hilarious, and, I'm really excited for his career. And, for Jurassic Park 4. Jurassic Park 4. Which he's starring in. As for the other characters, I'm happy to say that I liked the Raccoon.
My prediction was correct.
Yeah. Yeah. The trailer did make him just look like a wisecracking Ted, Seth MacFarlane sort of thing. because they use that shot where he adjusts his pants,
Just
the
the
slow
crotch,
motion
yeah.
shot. And I was like, oh, he's going to be all like sex jokes and innuendo and like, oh, I'm horny and all that kind of stuff. But I really liked what they did with him. As we said in the trailer thing, like we're not familiar with the source material at all.
No.
So I didn't know his backstory. And I loved the idea that he wasn't just like an alien race, which would be so easy. He was like this experiment
Yeah.
that went wrong, I guess, and it's something that affects him, and he gets
Yes,
really emotional
it's
about when he
really
gets
sad.
drunk. Like, yeah, I was really moved in that moment
Yeah,
where
same
he's
here.
sort of getting upset, and he's so tired of everyone sort of picking on him and calling him names, and you see why he has this gruff, smart-ass exterior, because he's hiding this kind of deep unhappiness. And I can't believe I'm saying that
Yeah, I
about
know,
this
right?
movie. I mean, do you have any thoughts on him before we talk about the
No,
others?
I
or-
was basically just going to echo exactly what you said. I still do think it is a bit of a one-note gag. Like, the joke is he is small and he's this tough guy.
Yeah.
Which is basically every one of his gags throughout the entire film. But
It's true, but
Yeah.
they pepper those
Yeah.
moments every now and then with a little insight into. Well, maybe it's only a couple of
probably
times,
just one,
or
really.
one.
But
Yeah,
that makes up for it, I
But
think. It really does. That's
it's-
what
yeah.
differentiates it from something like Ted or something where it is just
Yeah.
a gag for the sake of a gag. Like,
Yeah.
there is a character underneath that.
Yeah.
And it was one of the more moving parts of the film, I
Yeah.
thought.
yeah, that's right. And seeing him get so upset when Groot was dead was like really, I don't know, really
Oh,
touching.
actually, that's another part that was
Yeah.
really great.
And Drax sort of pets him. And,
Oh, that's right,
It's just
yeah.
like, oh, that's a really nice little moment. And Drax, he was really funny.
Yeah.
Like he was one of the funniest of the crew.
I loved the running gag that he just didn't get metaphor.
Yeah,
And
he took everything literally. Amazing.
that was hilarious.
Yeah, I loved. I mean, this is just like repeating what's in the movie, but it's like, don't bother with metaphors; they go right over his head. And he's like, my reflexes are so good, I would catch it or something.
Yeah, it
That was
great.
hilarious.
I think all of the characters, the main gang of characters, was really strong, much stronger than I expected, or much more sympathetic than I expected. I
Yeah,
guess.
and they all had equal development and equal screen time for
Yep.
the most part. Aside from obviously, there's a bit more of the romantic stuff going on between Chris Pratt and Gamora, but
kinda
they
like
all
that
felt
that
fleshed
didn't-
out.
I like that the romance didn't fully develop either. Like, there was no big sex scene or anything.
Yeah.
Like, there was kind of this sexual tension between them the whole time.
Yeah, that was a
was about
nice
it.
change.
Yeah.
They play around with that in that one scene where he's putting his moves on her and she almost falls for it and then holds a knife to his throat or whatever. And
Yeah.
that was sort of a fun example of that.
Yeah, and even Groot. I mean, Rocket is a pretty obvious one in terms of his character development. Groot was a lot harder because he said 3 words, or 4, I suppose, when he
Yeah.
changed it at the very end.
Yeah.
But I thought they even handled him really well, like the kind of childlike glee he gets out of certain things, and he's kind of this simpleton with the heart of gold.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there was just so much to like about all of the characters.
Yeah, there was. And Groot's sacrifice towards the end was another moment that was, fairly moving. I didn't cry in this like I did in How to Train Your Dragon 2. But,
That was sad
it's the
that
closest
that
I've
was-
come
yeah.
in a Marvel film, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of the emotional scene where Groot dies,
Yeah.
that sort of leads on to one of the biggest problems I had with the film was them not committing to the Groot death. Like that
Right.
was such a beautiful, moving end to his character.
Yeah.
And then it kept going, and there was sort of like the tree branches strewn everywhere and the wreckage at the end, and I was like, holy crap, like he's dead, he's gone. He had sacrificed himself. The next one's going to be these 4 guys instead of the 5 or whatever. Maybe that's what the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of is in the comics, and that was the origin of them or something. But of course they couldn't kill off one of the characters, and there's this scene right at the end of the film where Rocket has the little twig of Groot that then in the just
regrows.
first post-credit scene, I suppose, whatever it is, or pre-credits. It's right before the end credits.
Yeah.
Where he's doing his little dance.
I didn't
he's
like
in this
that.
like super cute
Yeah,
fucking
I
like
hated
minion
that.
thing. Same.
Yeah.
And it was not only is it disappointing that they couldn't commit to that, it's just it cheapens that moment.
Yeah, it
because
does.
why is Rocket so upset if he knows
Exactly.
he can grow him back
Yeah.
5 minutes later?
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Yeah.
it undoes such good work. And
Yeah,
I was
I
so
totally
disappointed
agree.
when that happened.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, the dancing thing felt like fan service. It felt like they knew he was going to be popular, and test screenings he was popular, so they decided to put an extra shot of him in dancing or something. Because audiences want to see that he's alive. Come on, make him dance.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I think I agree. Yeah, I just agree. Like, why was Rocket so upset? He was bawling his eyes out, and we were just talking about how that was a touching moment.
Yeah.
And then, it gets undone a bit. I think there's a few things like that at the ending where I feel like it was tampered with slightly.
I had
This is
suspicions
my little
with that as
theory.
well, actually.
But all the stuff that links to Chris Pratt's dad, the dad character, this mysterious thing, felt very ADR and felt very, here's a shot of these other characters that doesn't really connect with what becomes before and after. And I feel like they were inserting a lot of the stuff about his dad to pump us up for a sequel, which felt totally unnecessary and for some reason really stood out to me and kind of made me angry at the end was, oh, it's over, but don't worry, there's a sequel. Hey, everyone, there's a sequel. You're going to come see that, right? Including this title card that comes up at the end, like, the Guardians of the Galaxy will return. We fucking know they're going to return. Like, unless that's maybe something that's in the comic all the time, or like...
I thought it was like a nod to the old James Bond films. That used to have that at
it
the
reminded
end
me of that as well, but, like... Why? Like, I don't know what the connection is if that was their
that's
point.
a good point. There isn't really.
Like, I have a pet peeve already about how Marvel kind of slate 50 movies
they're
out.
just milking this comic book thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely
and for the
dry.
next however many years. And this is a good movie, and I enjoyed it. And I didn't want to be reminded that it was part of this big lumbering machine that's churning out films all the time.
That's actually a really good point.
And like, let's just let this movie sit and exist as its own thing rather than trying to shove hints at a sequel down our throats. But I mean, that was only the last 10 minutes.
They do set it up a little bit in the beginning with the scene with the mother on the deathbed.
Yeah,
She does
and
say
I
something about the father being a
And he-
starlight or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. And that's enough. Like, that felt organic and natural to me. Not like when the blue guy, the bounty hunter, his old mate bounty hunter, is like flying off, and he's like, "Oh, we didn't take him to his dad. No, we didn't do that. He was a jackass." And it's like, what? Where did that come from?
I guess this sort of leads into the second issue that I had with the film is just that third act, or maybe half the film. It's just this kind of Marvel universe in general just has its head so far up its own ass. Like, it's so obsessed with being interconnected and being part of this huge sweeping mythology. But it just, if you're not like a massive comic book nerd that loves all this stuff, it's so uninteresting. It's got all these wanky names of places and people that you have no clue who they are. Villains rock up for one scene that have no impact on this story whatsoever. It feels like a mess, like it's a jumble at the end. I mean, I'm sure there's this grand plan where it'll all fit together in a 58 film marathon that you can watch. But it does a disservice to the single film while you're watching it.
I totally agree. It's gone from the early Marvel films. It was exciting and enhanced them a bit to think, that connects to this. And
it was subtle, right? They were self-contained little films.
That's right.
There's links within the universe. Like, there'll be a stinger where two of the characters meet or something, and that's it.
Or like a sign in the background is like, oh, that company is in this movie. But this feels very... it feels like they've gone a step too far with this one.
You were saying about setting up for sequels. It's like every single thing is a setup for something else, for a spin-off, for a sequel, for a toy, for a video game.
I like this movie. I want to enjoy it as a thing, as its own thing.
It can still fit in with other things.
Exactly, And I feel like just very quickly, I feel like Edgar Wright didn't give into that kind of shit, and that's why they booted him out.
Yeah, well, we can speculate as much as we want, but yeah, it's
I
probably
know,
true.
but I mean, he always said. We don't need to talk about it too much, but he always said like it's not Ant-Man is not connected. It's not part of the Marvel
like
thing.
a stand.
And then it started to be like, oh, it is, and then I don't know. I just feel like it just annoys me that they're so persistent about that.
Yeah, but I mean. Yeah, it really does. I guess I did a little bit of research because after I've seen some of the Marvel films, I often do feel so baffled that I look some stuff up.
Yeah.
And having done that, I realised that the big MacGuffin in this film, the Infinity Stone, like that links to all of them. So
right.
it's something to do with the Thor films.
Okay.
I don't know, or the Avengers, whatever the big thing in that is one of the Infinity Stones. So I think it's going to be this big thing that builds up to the third Avengers film or whatever, which is probably where they fucking team up with the old mates from Guardians of the Galaxy. But it's just so embedded in these films now. Like they can't even have their own story. It has to be 50% story that's going to flow into everything else.
Yeah, yeah. And for a movie like this, which is so separate in terms of tone and the way the characters sort of act, and they're not these altruistic heroes, for that to be so connected is just a little disappointing. And I'd prefer if they were separate and then had little cameos in the Avengers. But what we're probably going to get is
a massive team up.
2-part
film.
Yeah, exactly, where it's like Iron Man's talking to Chris Pratt, and it's just like that doesn't interest me at all.
I agree.
And it'll be interesting to see if they do that and how they handle it, and whether James Gunn is involved and all that sort of thing. But yeah.
We seem to be going on a huge anti-Marvel rant.
I know, yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I've been complaining too much, but.
I think they're valid criticisms, and even if you just step back and don't hate on the Marvel-verse so much, just they are to the detriment of this film. If you look at this film as its own thing, that's where a lot of the problems stem from.
And I feel like filmmakers need to think about that movies are relevant, like they're in pop culture and they're in cinemas for such a short amount of time. And you should really be making something that you want to last a long time.
So having said that, it hurts the storytelling. I still think this does a pretty good job, or a better job than some other films that are similar to it. I really liked the sort of bookending images of him holding hands. Like the mother wanted to hold his hand just before she died, and then in order to control the Infinity Stone or whatever the hell it was, they all had to join hands and like combine powers or whatever the fuck was going on. It did annoy me a little bit that it was so heavily telegraphed in. Like they basically flashed back to that scene and like
they had the mum like
rammed it down
floating
your throat.
in space.
Yeah, because we wouldn't understand it, or we wouldn't remember an hour and a half ago when we saw her do that. Which peeved me a little bit. But I think the essence of it's there. Its heart was in the right place. It's probably just some studio executive was like, they won't remember that.
Yeah.
Put a flashback in.
Yeah. And then put a title at the end.
But yeah, I think it does a lot of stuff right. And I think that's the key to it, is that it has heart.
It really does.
As much as you can, get peeved at the story and, get all the convoluted plot that doesn't make much sense and villains that appear and disappear, that's the 5 leads and just so much goddamn fun being with them.
It is, yeah.
That's what makes the film.
Yeah.
Everything else is almost incidental. You don't care.
Yeah.
It's just about spending time with these guys.
Yeah, that's very true, and that's really nice for a blockbuster to want to spend more time with the characters.
Yeah.
And just see them hang out. Like just them in a room together is enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, just the banter, the back and forth, the little sort of quips and stabs they have at each other.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of good character development, what did you think of the villains?
I felt like I was kind of disappointed with what we got with the villains because the good guys, the main characters, were so well developed. The villains, in comparison, are just
they suffered bad, didn't they?
Really nothing there. Like Thanos, the big Emperor Palpatine type character, I can kind of understand they're obviously keeping him mysterious for some future movie, which is annoying. But like, okay, like you don't. He's not the main villain. Fine. But the main villain, Ronan.
But even just on that though, even the Thanos thing, I don't feel like it's established enough. Like, there's absolutely zero motivation for him, right? Like, you don't know what his end goal is.
No,
I guess
you
he's
don't.
collecting these stones or whatever.
Yeah, he's collecting the stones, and
that's not really a threat. You know what I mean? Like, if you have this big overarching villain, you want him to feel like a villain, like he's
but you didn't have that with the Emperor either until
I guess
Jedi.
That's true. But I guess you know that I guess you know that Thanos is above the other villains and that he's somehow in control. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
I'll give you that, Josh.
Thanks. But yeah, Ronan is just an evil guy. That I didn't really sense any. Like, he didn't like that everyone in the universe signed a peace treaty.
Is that what it was? I actually don't even know what it was.
I feel like that's what it was, and he's like, we won't sign it, my race or something.
Was it some racial thing? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it was hard to understand.
This is a perfect example of not understanding the motivations of the villains.
And it was hard to understand because it was simple and dumb, not because it was complex and smart.
See, maybe that's what I'm making me think that Thanos is a bad villain as well, because you don't have the ripple effect of going up the chain of command. Like, because if you don't understand what the lower villains are doing, then you're not going to know anything about the ones above them that are essentially giving the orders.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But having said that, I still think Ronan was a pretty intimidating villain.
He was a physical presence.
Yeah, I think he carried that really well.
He felt tough and...
It was pretty scary.
Yeah, scary. But yeah, just didn't really know why he was doing what he was doing. One moment, speaking to that I really liked though was at the end when Chris Pratt has to distract him and he starts doing like a little dance and stuff, and Ronan's like, "What are you doing?" Like, it's almost like Ronan is stuck in a traditional Marvel movie, you know, and it's like you're not meant to be doing this now. This is my big speech, and I'm about to win, and like, how dare you dance like this, silly kid.
That's
I really enjoyed that moment, and that was seemed maybe like a sort of self-awareness that he is a typical villain, and there's not much more to him than that.
I think it must be a conscious thing from James Gunn's part, because I think he spends so much time with the heroes, and there's 5 of them to flesh out, and I mean they're not amazingly well developed, but they have enough character stuff there for you to care.
Yeah.
That doesn't give you much screen time to do anything else with any other characters, unless you're going to have a 3.5 hour. Like, when you're packing it full of all this kind of plot and action.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that there's a conscious decision made going, we're going to strip down the villains and just make them this intimidating visual threat,
Yeah.
It's not really about them as characters.
Yeah. I can see that. I think they could have done a bit more, though.
No, of course.
But I can see that being a choice, definitely.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like probably the sacrifice he made, to get more character stuff in with the other guys, because he had to have his quota of lasers and explosions in there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Though I did want to know more about like the villain army. They have this weird kind of zombie living dead army that have these like
faces, really, did they?
Ships. Yeah, some of them didn't. One of them had like a weird alien rotting face. Or something.
Yeah.
Like,
they looked cool.
The design of them was awesome, but I felt like I knew absolutely zero about them, like who they were, where they came from,
why they're following him.
Yeah, they seemed really interesting.
Yeah, and there was those weird pilots on his ship that were just like lounging back,
playing with their orbs.
Playing with their orbs. But yeah, and I think the design in general in the movie was really good.
Yeah, I think visually, I know you have a problem with the way it was shot, but I think in terms of the design, I think it looks really great.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, in terms of the concepts of how things would look and the color choices, and
even
the CG looked pretty good too.
Not only the CG, but the decision not to use as much CG as I think another director would have. Like, there's so much makeup and prosthetics. And
that's true.
I love...
And the sets feel like full sets.
Yeah,
like the prison felt like a full set. It didn't feel like it was blue screen after it hit, it got higher than their heads or something, like the actors. Like it felt like they'd built a prison set.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
I love in like sci-fi films like this when all the props and costumes feel like chunky and heavy.
Yeah.
Like those guns in the prison scene, they felt weighty, and they were real props. You could tell when Chris Pratt was flinging them around.
Yeah, exactly.
And they felt great. Like I loved that tactile sense that they gave.
Yeah. I thought, we were talking about that the soundtrack is good, but the actual score was pretty lousy, I thought.
Yeah, actually, it's pretty unmemorable. I don't actually remember it at all.
Yeah.
Which, I guess, proves your point.
Yeah, exactly. I was, I made like a conscious effort to listen to it.
Yeah, right.
Just for one scene. Just like, I haven't really noticed it. I'm going to listen out. And it was just like, felt generic action movie kind of stuff, which is a real shame because this film, I think,
deserves better.
It deserves better, and it would have benefited from a rousing main theme.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Which, wasn't there. I feel like the Marvel movies in general weirdly don't have themes, and they're the perfect movies to have
a theme for each
big,
superhero.
So that was a little disappointing. But then again, the songs are so important that they kind of make up for that anyway.
I noticed that there seems to be a lot of shots in the trailer that aren't in the film.
Yeah.
Like more so than a normal film. I think. Or maybe it's just because I saw like 4 trailers before we saw the film itself that it was more apparent. But it seems like whether they were shot for the trailer or stuff was cut out.
Yeah.
I know for sure some was shot for the trailer. Like a lot of the teasers, and I think maybe the end of the longer ones have the prison lineup, and it's got all 5 of them standing there.
Oh, yeah.
Which obviously never happens in the film because what old mate Drax, they meet in prison and escape with him. That's it. But in the trailers, they're all standing there in their prison garb and the guards are commenting on them. So that was obviously made for the trailer.
Interesting.
But there was other stuff like that shot I talked about in the trailer with Drax again, fighting with the blades, and there's sort of these suspended green droplets of fluid.
Oh, yeah.
There. Didn't see that in the film.
No. There's a couple of lines from Chris Pratt that are not used in the movie, but they feel like maybe they were just cut out.
And there's that shot that I think ends of a couple of the trailers with Groot pushing play on the cassette tape.
Yeah, that's not in it.
And the music.
That feels like it was made for a teaser or a trailer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we really enjoyed this movie, I think, Matt, and
I don't want it to come off like we're negative. I feel like we got pretty negative.
Yeah, we got sidetracked a bit by some of the things that annoyed us in it.
Yeah.
But maybe that's because what else can we say positively about the movie other than it's really fun, it's a great adventure.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And it's hard to say much more than that.
It boils down to the fun factor and the charisma. That's what makes it a good film.
Yeah.
And that's where all the praise is, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. And
it's worth seeing.
Everyone could enjoy it, I think.
Yep.
Get something out of it. Thanks for listening to the pre-post film review. We'd love to hear what you guys think about Guardians of the Galaxy, so please send us an email at prepostfilmreview@gmail.com.
That'd be great. And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter, so you can follow us there. We also have a Facebook page, so it'd be awesome if you could give us a like there. The more likes we get, the better. We are on iTunes, so we'd really appreciate if you could subscribe or even leave us a review. You can find us on Stitcher as well, if you like to listen to your podcast there.
And so next episode we're going to be talking about the new Richard Linklater film Boyhood, and the interesting thing about that one is we recorded the trailer impression 12 years ago when we were kids. So we'll see you guys next episode. So dumb, doesn't make any fucking sense. That you're in love with me. Yeah, Groot, great character. I just hope they don't overdo him in the next one, or it's worrying that dance is just like...
It'll be like a little baby Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So it'll be running around making like, I am Groot noises and bumping into things and dancing all the time.
Oh, it's Groot's birthday. Groot, 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 Groot.
Drax will be getting annoyed because he takes everything literally and wants to punch him all the time.
Yeah.
Rocket will be babying him.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone want to change his diaper? Some soil comes out.